Coliseum's artifacts are accruing.
Hey guys, so I've been away from the game the past week or so, and I'm aware that there's actually a lot of juicy news and things going on. First of all, yes, I am aware that they've done a preview for upcoming balance. Now, that's pretty exciting, including, as some of you may have already seen, a big Berserker overhaul coming. Can't wait to talk about it, and in fact got about an hour into doing a big video with Boots on that exact topic when we had to stop. So that's going to come just a little bit later, but it should be up very soon. And while I get back into the swing of things, I did want to talk about some other news that's going on top of, say, the new current events, which I'm in the progress of playing. And that's to do with PvP, just a little bit. Normally I talk about PvP on my second channel, but I think this is kind of interesting, especially with respect to what happened in February, the layoffs at the studio and the potential refocus on Guild Wars 2. So we're currently in Eternal Coliseum, and for good reason, because you guys who don't look at the forums very much might not have noticed, there are changes coming to this map and another one in PvP that really feel like they never would have happened under the ordinary schedule we were on for 2018. And so we can see here, it's a post from Stefano Presti, who says, upcoming map changes for Eternal Coliseum and Djinn's Dominion 2. So we're going to talk about both of these maps. Djinn's Dominion is the newest PvP map. Maybe you guys missed its inclusion, when was it? The closing of last year? I've already done videos on that you can check out, but it's still technically in beta. So I would have expected updates to Djinn's Dominion. We'll run through those, but Eternal Coliseum's getting update too. So let's look at this. Coliseum is a couple of years old now. And here's what they say. Hi folks, we'd like to give you a preview of some upcoming changes to 2 of the PvP maps. Up first is Eternal Coliseum. We wanted to give this map more spaces where players can jump around and try to break line of sight. Additionally, we wanted to differentiate between each side of the map a bit better so it's easier to know where you are just by looking around. To do this, we're adding hedges on one half of the map and building specific supplies, not specific because I don't know why I added that word in there, on the other. Okay, so here's the image, and we will have a look at the image in a second, but just back up for a second. Let's talk about Coliseum in general. There's kind of a philosophy question with ArenaNet and the PvP maps at the moment. What's the point in having new maps? Just for a bit of flavor, a different visual experience each time you load in, and not much else? Or is the point of new PvP maps to actually encourage build differences and gameplay stylings? And so the devs have never really, I think, been clear enough on this topic. Quite often, I think they want a team composition and a good conquest build to be good across all maps in general. But players do min-max, and they do swap their builds a bit based on map. For example, the classic one, Kylo, if you were fighting over the mid-node in the clock tower there, Guardians would often like to take a sword instead of, say, a mace if they were playing a very node-heavy, bunky kind of supporty build, especially in the classic days. They'd use that sword to blink back onto the node because falling off otherwise would be quite punishing. So that's just one example out of many, many, many examples where people do change their builds based on the map. And then you have Coliseum, which to me really seemed to be embracing that idea, hey, let's have a map that fundamentally, well, not fundamentally, but largely offers very different gameplay. And so Coliseum really fits the bill for that because, I mean, look at it as we run around. It's very open. This is the defining thing about Coliseum. When you get to like an intermediate level to slightly good level at PvP, you'll realize that you can't just stand on nodes tanking damage. You have to run away from them every now and then to keep alive, get your heal skill back up or whatever. And so often what players will do is they'll run away and they'll hide on things and they'll climb around on stuff hoping to shake aggression. And this might seem cheesy or stupid, but it's built into the game type, and it's really a big part of Conquest that separates the men from the boys, if you like. And it's something people who really enjoy this focus on a lot. Most maps have lots of this kind of stuff, kiting, and all kinds of different areas where you can line of sight. I could hide here so a ranger doesn't shoot me. All over the place. You know, the king of these strategies really are some of the first maps to come in, like Forest of Niflhel. Has just so much fun stuff you can do. And then Colosseum came out, which doesn't have much. I'm using these boxes as a demonstration. I'm using this pillar as a demonstration. But what else is there? Really not very much. And look at the spawn. When you spawn out and come on Coliseum, the enemy could start shooting you from really far away. This is a godly map, therefore, for some builds instead of others. It changes the dynamics of trying to ambush and plus people with fast-moving classes. It changes how effective soul beasts are. For example, with their longbow pew-pew builds, in that the less line of sight potential, the better for those builds. And so Conquest really has been, for many years now, since its inclusion, exaggerated in that way. And I guess it depends on your perspective. Should we have maps that heighten one element of the game experience over others, or is that undesirable? I guess what's happened here with this update that will be going into the game soon, I hope, is the devs have decided they like it, but not much. And so, because Coliseum is a lot, they're deciding to refine it. Basically, after this patch, Coliseum should feel a lot more like the other maps in terms of your escape potential and line of sight and stuff. So yeah, that's the idea. And they mentioned actually 2 things in the post. They said one of the elements that they were hoping to change was, you know, kite potential and line of sighting. The other one is just seeing where you are. On this second point, I really do think it's very important. Obviously, looking at the minimap, we can have a sense of what half of the map we're in, and as you actually play these games, you generally always have a good perspective for where your spawn is versus where the enemy spawn is, because as human beings, we have a very intuitive and natural understanding of where we came from. You know, evolution provides us that as a survival technique, so we kind of know that, right? Even when we're playing a game, what side of the map is what. But when it comes to spectating, unfortunately, I can't spectate in this daily server. When it comes to spectating, it can be a lot more muddy for the casters and the people watching at the same time at home. So I do think that that's really worthwhile. I, as an experienced player, of course know that one of the nodes has got this this stack of logs at it. The other one has a couple of boxes. And I know that on one of the sides I can use this to climb up here, but this isn't necessarily symmetrical on the other one. But more casual players and people who need to be able to understand the game at a glance could do with more of a difference in how things look. So, yeah, I do agree with that idea with what the devs have gone with. So there you go. That's the state of Coliseum. That's their ideas. Now we get a single screenshot showing it off. And, well, what do we see? They say that... sorry, a single screenshot? We get 2 screenshots showing each half of the map. The fact that they've declined to give us a screenshot of the middle of the map makes me think probably not much has changed there. And thus, those elements of Coliseum, as something with lots of wide open fields and how the team fights feel here, probably will remain fairly similar, just because a lot of the big pivotal fights will be occurring here, which is still just as open. And the devs kind of maybe get to eat their cake and have it too. So, yeah, what do we get? Well, on the one side, the one side with the hedges, it feels a lot more like Divinity's Reachy stuff now, I guess. It does seem that where before we'd have to walk all the way over to this pillar to actually get some line of sight, now we have a lot more opportunity. What really grabs my attention here are the boxes they've lined next to the hedges. Now, this is where things get kind of fun. Any rangers watching this video, or Deadeyes, I suppose, to extent, anyone who uses a lot of range and projectile-oriented stuff, might be thinking, oh, this is kind of lame. I'm not going to be able to shoot people from really far away. But it does feel like they're not just providing line of sight blocks and things, but actually there is opportunity to climb on these too. You'll notice we've got these crates which get you on, and if you can climb up this, and it looks like they are quite deliberately saying, yes, that's okay. Once you own the territory, you still have that upper advantage, further solidifying the kind of snowbally nature of this map. And I do consider it one of the more snowbally ones, at least for rank queuing. Let's not talk about tournaments so much right now. So, yeah, it does seem you'll still get a little bit of that value out of that. Then you do want to also look at beyond, right, your route to mid, which is this pathway here. And there's a lot of clutter around here now. So that does affect possibly routes through. It seems you will be able to take quite a direct route to mid, but you're going to be funneled into this smaller choke now. Seems they've added a whole other area, like this mini courtyards type section here. And then when we look on the next screenshot, you've got a similar thing going on here also. Though now we have raised platforms of an interesting looking color. These are walls, right? I wonder if the devs are allowing us to stand on these walls or not, because that would be a dramatic difference between the two halves of the map there. There's always a bit of asymmetry in Conquest, even as much as it looks like there may not be. The higher level you play, I think the more you recognize those asymmetries. But yeah, so you've got a similar situation. Again, there's definitely more line of sight going on here than this node. This node feels very open still. And we can sort of climb up onto these the same as it seemed before, with even this down. So yeah, I do like the look of the Colosseum changes, quite nice. And to come down as well to Djinn's Dominion, they say their goal is to reduce the ability to spawn camp the other team from the start of the game. To that end, we've added a wall between the spawn areas which stretches to the lamp platform. A gate will open in the wall after some time, so players don't have to run through the middle of the map to get to the far side through the whole match. Now, if you guys don't know Djinn's Dominion very well, I'll show you this. Because this map, and you'll see it's called Beta, right? So I was anticipating changes here. This map exhibits a problem I kind of already recognized from another one of the maps in the game. That's Spirit Watch. It seems whenever the devs have a map where both spawns are like to the south of the map and close to one another, it can cause serious problems with the flow of the game. So Spirit Watch, the same thing happens. You can spawn out of the gate here, immediately run to the right, and sort of people start clashing, and there's this weird kind of confused, do we want to cross to go really aggressive, or do we want to go for the mid fight more cleanly? But, you know, you're going to team fight anyway, so why hold off? And it just feels a bit muddy. And I know it seems like that should be a point of excitement and strategy, which side you go. In general, and I've had many games on Beta Djinn's Dominion and on Spirit Watch, I've never really liked this interaction too much. I can't put my finger on why. Maybe you guys in the comments can contribute a bit here. And I'm looking forward to see anyone who does, because I know a lot of people don't think about PvP in this way. But it didn't feel quite right, and so I'm really happy to see where I'm currently stood will be walled off post-patch. Let's have a look again. This is the same place, and now we've got this huge wall that means when you spawn, you are going to have that kind of clear-cut decision that you get on all of those other maps, where you're going to send someone to close, you're going to have mid. Now, what this also does, though, you guys might realize, is it makes crossing to the enemy spawn particularly difficult on this map. Because let's say I've just come out of this gate. If I want to go all the way, if I want to push far now, I do have quite the job to come all the way around here, all the way over. And then, you know, like here, this is all red territory. This is dangerous stuff to cross through here right now, because the enemy team, this is their angle of attack into mid. So I have to cross right through the lion's den, really, and a more exaggerated route to actually be able to push far. And you might think, okay, is that very good? I actually think that is good for this map, because this is a very small, very claustrophobic map, and I haven't really enjoyed it very much for those reasons. But now with this is kind of a counterbalance for, you know, it makes the map feel a little bit bigger. There's a bit more flow to it, instead of just kind of this chaotic, tiny open field that just clashes around, doesn't feel very senseful a lot of the time. So that's all the start. Then the other thing, that it's actually a gate that opens. Again, I think that sounds pretty cool. You guys may remember from the Kylo rework, they played with this idea a little bit. As Kylo goes along now, since Clock Tower change and the tread mechanics and whatnot, elements of Kylo will break and open new directions and routes to walk through. But those are never really the main thoroughfares on Kylo, so you don't really spend much time thinking about that. It doesn't really matter, not in hot joins, not in ranked, and I'm not even really sure in tournaments do I see people ever really think about that element. But on this map, it's going to be a pretty blatant new area you'll be able to travel through once that gate opens, meaning the first half of this map is very different to the second half, and that I think is really fun. That shift is exactly the kind of thing Conquest can do to break up, you know, snowball slam dunk victories, maybe create a little bit more opportunity for people, and just sort of freshen it up a bit as the map goes along. So I do like this. I hope as well that when they add this wall, they address one of the big problems with the map. It's beta, so it's been forgivable, but is the fact that you can jump onto this pillar here, and then from the pillar you can just skip into people's base. That's probably been in the game for too long, and you know, if they're walling all this off, this is no longer this pretty door here. I hope that there should be good things coming from that in terms of breakouts. But there are a ton of breakouts on this map still. You can climb all around on these, and hopefully with all of that, we'll see the devs refine the whole lot away. Whether Djinn's Dominion will still be considered beta at that point, because I do think it will feel like quite a different map. I guess we'll have to see. But that brings me on to my final topic. You know, if they are still having it in beta afterwards, showing that they're having even further changes, well, that shows they're not scared to do quick map updates. And let's go back to the Coliseum thing. A Coliseum update? After how long? And sure, some people didn't like Coliseum. It was an outlier, and I think just a selection of people were very vocal about not liking it, so it gets a little bit more precedence than it deserved. But I do wonder, going back to the start of the video here, whether this is a sign that now that they've sort of refocused, we had that beautiful blog post from Mike Z just a while ago saying, you know, that they were looking at these teams. I wonder if we're seeing the fruits of that immediately, you know. Now the PvP team and the guys looking at this stuff, the competitive side of the studio, have got this extra bit of resources and this extra bit of time and longevity to look at this stuff and make more rapid changes. This is exactly the kind of thing that hopefully will rekindle a bit of a spark for players into these elements of Guild Wars 2. So I really like the idea of all of this. I love that they showed it on the forums earlier on as well, and any kind of spice up, shake up to get people who are only vaguely interested in PvP and still don't realize how truly amazing it is. And it is amazing. Maybe they'll take a peek inside when they see that interesting stuff is actually happening with the game type, and it just doesn't feel dead, you know. It feels like the devs are actually doing things. So there you go. That was one thing that caught my eye while I've been away for about a week. I will be continuing along with that amazing balance and the Berserker overhaul. Stay tuned for it, guys, as well as current events and all that good stuff. We even have a Living World episode coming soon, I hope, too. So, you know, we had the teaser, but still no date. It's just a matter of time. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you for another one very soon. Let me know what you think about any of this. People don't comment on PvP stuff enough.